All right, let's see where we're at here. $69.70. Q's trying to come back up. YM had already gone up and coming back down. Yesterday was a decent day on stream, which is quite the change from the earlier months, or the last month of streaming. Still trying to get used to it. YM's now flipping upwards while NQ is going downwards. Still a lot of dispersion going on. Man, I like this to the downside. Towards 60, bounce back up. Really like that 5-minute top there. And NQ tested its volume imbalance. From a volume profile perspective, it looks like NQ is just kind of in this node, high volume node range. SPX didn't want to break out. I think we should run back down. Was a little too patient there on my end. So I would have entered right at like around 69.90. All right, so that's a 66.60 pivot. I'd expect us to come up a little bit, the 66.60 pivot, and then maybe try for a down move. downside here. Very tempted to play downside. We got in terms of news today. We have business inventories. It's just not much. IM is still going up, while NQ is moving downwards, and NQ finally hit its overnight lows. So maybe once it hits its overnight lows, we might get some sort of mean reversion, similar to ES hitting its Asia lows in the last hour, like at 8 o'clock. We pumped pretty reasonably. That would have been a really nice play. I'm going to take a look at the options depth chart. And the reason why I had the 6960 pivot was because of this relatively large dealer negative strike. And we're moving under it, which is quite nice. And it's kind of like no man's land between 6960 and 6935. Not much positioning there, very thin. You can see the gamma is very light. Yeah, extremely light positive gamma. We would like to see some sort of bounce here on NQ. Play a mean reversion trade there. If we make our way into the 6970 cluster and stay in it, we can probably push up towards 6985 and really grind towards 6995 on SPX. But so far, just based on overnight action, it's been pretty choppy. It's been stuck in this range. So depending on which time frame you're looking at, you can see that NQ's in the it's in the high volume node area. So we've just been flirting in that range, back and forth. So let's see where we end up. Just hanging around that pivot at 6960 that I marked out. And there's the overnight low sweep and reversion. So far is only good for about like 20 points, but in theory should be going up a little bit more. Yesterday seemed a lot easier to play. Even the secondary move was a little easier to play, but today I think it's going to be a bit more challenging. Still hovering around 6960. Yeah, I'm not seeing much right now. Still hovering around that 69.60. Still favor that mean reversion a little off of the NQ overnight sweep. So far, the overnight sweep yielded, I don't know, somewhere around like 20 points, 30 points maybe at the very most. I don't think I would have held for much longer than that though, as I only seen it as a sweep. YM is still going up. There's a trend line on SPX that seems price doesn't want to break through at the moment, and you can measure it over the last 2 weeks. So starting from January, I think the high of January 28th to the swing high of February 3rd. There's a pretty reasonable trend line there. And then if you look at on ES, the 4-hour chart, you can see there's a trend line towards about 7,005, 7,006. The VIX is climbing up, interestingly enough. Defensive stocks or ETFs are actually getting larger inflows than the cyclicals, which is normally a sign for downside. Guess that was it for NQ. Yeah, I think my opportunity to short was around 69.90 on ES after the 5-minute top wick, right at open. But we're still holding the pivot reasonably. That was on SPX, that was a low of 69.57. And going back to the option step chart, it looks like we're going to try to make our way into that 69.70 cluster of dealer negative strikes. So that cluster takes us from 69.70 towards 8.5, maybe 9.5. But if we stay out of that cluster, I can see more downside. There's nothing there. There's no positioning until we're like 30 points from 69.60. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to short. So I was expecting some sort of retest here or a push higher. Why I'm still rocketing. VIX is coming down, retracing a little. We have not swept the overnight lows of VIX. It's very interesting because we're at like near all-time highs. I think we're about maybe, I don't know, 50, just under 50 points away, 40 points from all-time highs on SPX. And VIX is hovering around 17.5. See, if I were to short, I'd consider a short somewhere around here, but this move is still a little too strong for me. 69.70 would be a good spot to short. There's the NQ pump. And we got the divergence off the bottom there. Everything seemed to set up for a long, which is quite nice. I'm gonna try this here, see where we end up. Pretty low risk, 5 points. I can't say it's a great trade. Yeah, definitely not a great trade. And the reason why is because I'm looking at the cyclicals and it is starting to make a move while defensives start rolling off. So we've made our way into that cluster and we're likely to ride up towards 69.85 if I had to guess. The low divergence on NQ and between NQ and ES was like a perfect long there. And the pivot held from 69.60. So in theory, I definitely should have longed. I was a little too biased on the short side. But I'm expecting my SL to hit here. There's no doubt. Yeah, it definitely should have been a long on NQ. And NQ might run towards 451, potentially. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. If I'm gonna play a short, it's gonna be off that 69.85 level, which is about 5 points up from here. So it lends itself really nicely. It's about 7,002 to 7,005 on ES. Wow, YM is still going. This is amazing. Let's see where we go from here. I think this is a little early for me. I would like a 69.85 short, not a short off previous day high, but the high was 69.81. It looks like we're going to pump though. from a VIX perspective, we have either short strikes between 17 and I believe 20, which is why we can get some pretty reasonable movement there. $69.85 is still the top of the cluster. We're hovering around $69.79, which is my entry. Once we move above the 69.8, if we move above the 69.85 definitively, so once we make our way into 69.90 plus, we're in the dealer positive gamma cluster. And once you're in a dealer positive cluster, you can stay right in there up until 70.25 from a dealer hedging perspective. The question is whether or not the market has enough steam to break out and move up beyond that. I mean, this week is the week to do it. If we do it, there it is. That's 8.5. Previous day high on NQ2. Hovering around that trend line here on ES. Cyclicals are greater than defensive now, which means risk is on based on the ETF inflows. I can see ES running up towards like 69.14 or 7,014. 7,015. So I won't continuously try to short this. NQ is at an interesting point here. I like to see 4.5, 4.45, 4.50. Not a bad spot though. YM is finally giving up some of its gains for today. Not much, but just a wee bit. NQ is the carrier now. We're still hovering around at 69.85 mark. Looks like we're staying in that negative, dealer negative gamma range. The only problem is 69.70 has gotten quite a bit larger. And a 69.70's got quite a bit larger. It's going to take a little bit more to bust through it. Yeah, one of the things I saw there, and I kind of wanted to slap an NQ short too, was the 5-minute high divergence between the 1005 and a 1010 candle. So there's a sweep of previous day highs, and it looks like we're going to be coming a little bit lower here. I'd like to see it touch POC. At the very least. And then below 69.70, you have the fishbone pattern, which isn't pretty at all. So the trades today is so far long overnight low sweep on both ES and NQ, both paid very nicely, and then short previous day highs, both paid nicely. And the short on NQ would have paid like 60 points. That was a beauty. The short on ES, not so much. Like my entry wasn't that great. I really wanted to add another one there, but after taking the first loss, it becomes a bit challenging to actually size up on a trade. So we'll just have to play this one. It looks like we're pretty much in for a choppy day here. This doesn't look pretty at all. 69.62 would be a nice... If we came down towards 69.62, that would be perfect. On ES, there's... I suppose we don't have to, but it would be nice. It looks like we might not. The trade for me went 10 points. I didn't take it. So definitely be a frustrating loss if it ends up being one. So I'd say there 69.70 held it up real nice. Sizing of 69.70 went up, so it was a bit concerning. Yeah, it looks like that was just come down to retest, or come down to, yeah, to basically retest VWAP and then go back up, like some liquidity for the next move up. I definitely should have taken profit. I'm gonna have to move my stop loss. Save a few points there. We are looking at a pretty choppy day here. $69.85 also increased in size. So it's going to be a tough one to get through. Yeah, definitely sensing that breakout. Very choppy stuff. Yep, definitely wanted to short NQ there. Holy smokes. But for whatever reason, I thought it was going to run up above 430 on NQ. 430 to 439. But we didn't get it. What a shame. Vix is trying to climb right back up here. Sorry for that. And that fish boating pattern below. If we can make our way under, that would be nice. But yeah, it looks like there's like put spreads being sold. So the floor, there's a floor. Well, they're trying to set a floor because it's vol selling basically. Gonna need some energy here to do anything. YM's trickling a little lower. Let's see what gold is doing here. We have some gold chop. Interesting. YM is trickling down. So NQ is likely to go up here. I'd classify yesterday as like a reasonable trend day. And typically trend days aren't great for me. But yesterday was actually pretty decent. Yeah, on ES, it looks like it's going to break out. On NQ, it looks uncertain. It looks like a mess on NQ to me. YM, it's kind of stagnating here. We've just been stuck in this 69.70, 69.85 strike. And currently sitting at around 80 at the moment. Okay, so I guess we're going to go up based on NQ. NQ looks like it's ready for an up move too. Should have probably taken the 10 points. And we're finally breaking, we're trying to really push above this 69.85. And if we do, it's the line to 7,000. Pretty ugly price action overall though. That 3839 level on NQ hit. That's something I've been watching. But I don't have confidence that we're going to reject here. I'm expecting my stop loss to hit. Bit of resistance here. It really doesn't want to. SPX really doesn't want to escape the influence of that 69.85 dealer negative strike. It's trying really hard to, it just seems very unable. Looks like that 3.8 entry. I think I wanted 3.9 though. That would have paid reasonably. It's going to be interesting close here on the 5-minute. Quite the divergence there between ES and NQ. I'm gonna add another one there. So a lot of resistance up there. And it keeps on increasing. It's like customers are going long this 69.85 strike. They're expecting a breakout, but it's causing dealers to hedge against it. There's a good chance that that 5-minute top wick there just suckered me in. But it's something that I always pay attention to, so VIX is holding up too. It's very interesting. Because VIX did not make a new low a day there, but SPX made a new high a day. I'd like to see the POC hit. And the POC somewhere, oh, the 1 hour POC is quite a bit higher. 69.82. So maybe I'll try it. I gotta have take profit around there just to make sure that I'm covered. And then I'm gonna have one towards the low a day. But there's a good chance that I got suckered in here. Everyone is playing a breakout. feel like I just want to move down to move back up. But there's just no momentum at all. With 69.85 acting as the top and 69.70 acting as the bottom. I'll hold this. There's no reason for me to close. I'm not in love with the trade, but I also don't hate it, so. Very nasty stuff, though. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, we're retesting that 69.85, trying to wear it down. Once I see whether or not we take it out, as in the price moves above it, or positioning actually fades in size, people start closing out the position. That's when it's very likely that that we start losing, or that we start pumping. It is trying hard to grind through that 69.85. NQ looks like it wants to grind up. Actually, everything looks like it wants to grind up at this moment. The only thing not grinding up is YMN. Still a whole lot of nothing. Nothing, I say. Nothing. Alright. Let me cycle back over to the OD charts here just so you can see it. 69.85. It's still the high, pretty much. And 69.70 is still the low for the most part. Stuck in this range. And the funny part is they keep growing in size. Actually, 69.70 decreased in size since the last update. And we're going to get another update at 1050. This time-based consolidation is starting to wear me out. It's working. It's amazing. Waiting for that 1050 update. Almost like it's waiting for some sort of news to come out in order to drive it in either direction. It's just almost no volume. Still waiting for the 1050. Give it like 2 or 3 minutes after 1050 and the OD charts typically update right after. And Secretary Lutnick is actually speaking right now. I believe there was from 69.60 down to 69.30. There used to be a void here, and it looks like some vol selling came in. So you're seeing like a 69.60 6.5 put spread and a 69.50 and 55 put spread. They're both sold. So based on the choppiness of the market, it should continue chopping, even if we move down. I'm about ready to let go of this trade, but starting to see UVXY run up here on average, which is very interesting. We get a nice ball move, just a quick move down. The POC had risen back up, or has risen up. What a move. It's still not moving. But I did see that in UVXY before SPX moved. I'm actually considering letting it go. Letting both of them go. Hopefully at the 8.5. Yep, UVXY and VIX both pumping up right now. So that was a nice vol move call. You're really not going to give me a fill? Come on. There you go. I got a fill. I had to chase that one up a little, which is I'm not proud of. I really don't want to see this come back up. If we come back up, I'm moving my stops to break even. That just means it's not trending at all. Yep, as expected. So we're going to call it a break-even day. And that is it. Yeah, what I didn't like seeing there is that we didn't move past that 10-15 candle low. So I kind of gave it edge that 69.70 would hold it up. Fishbone, the fishboning just below the 69.70 that occurs is a bit choppy for me. And just given how the market is moving, I didn't anticipate that we'll just fly through it like we have in the past for fishboning patterns. Instead, I kind of thought that we were going to rise up, um, especially if that 69.70 level didn't break. And it didn't break. So I wanted to see ES move below the 10-15 candle here, or the 10-10 candle, sorry. And if we weren't, then I didn't want to give it another shot. I didn't want to stay in the trade for too long, especially because I didn't like the NQ and the ES divergence between that 10-10 and 10-55 candle low. Sometimes it's just better to stay ahead. And I'm above break even, $50 on the day after all that time. So I'm not going to touch this anymore. That is brutal chop. Now UVXY is still red and it's still climbing up. But I don't like this rangy action at all. Yeah, so again, we're bouncing off 69.70, and if we slice through 69.70, you're likely to see 69.85 come off, and everything here is still supportive. To me, they're sold put spreads. So if they sold put spreads, then they're likely to act pretty much supportive of here, and especially because we don't have much volume. But we'll see how it acts. If we push and slice through 69.85 or rocket through 69.85, then I can see the 69.70 coming off. So both moves, like, I guess the reason for that is maybe 69.70 might be, oh shoot, let me check. I'll check before I make the, yeah, so 69.70 is dealer shorts, primarily dealer shorts, which means they're customer long puts. So they're about 1900 customer long puts from there, expecting downside. At 69.85, 4,600 long calls by customers. So they're betting on upside there too. So you can kind of see why, like, if we slice through 69.70, that positioning is not likely to come off. The 69.85 will come off because the guys who are betting on long calls are the ones that are essentially getting screwed, right? Like their premiums dropping like a rock, so they're losing out on those long call trades. Now the long put guys at 69.70, they'll gain if we go down, so it's not likely to come off until some target is hit, right? So same as if we move up above 69.85, you're likely to see the 69.70 guys give up. And the funny part, it can just be like a quick wick down, and those guys might like, if we get a nice wick down below 69.70 that scares everyone, then the 69.85 will come off, and then guess what, it opens up upside now, because dealer hedging will be different based on the 6900 or 69.85 coming off. Yeah, it looks like I would have got my take. I still didn't get my take profit actually, but this is quite the grind here, and I'm not in love with it. So, I mean, if we didn't go, we didn't go, and I'm happy to be slightly better than break even today. All right, I think I'm going to call it. That's it for me.